Hi everyone, Jacqueline here. Welcome to Zone 3 and Thriving. Today, I want to start some echinacea seed right away. And I've chosen the Paradise Tall from Johnny's as one of my choices to start here. I do plan on starting another one as well, where we're going to get these going because these take 10 to 15 days to germinate. So mid-February right now, happy belated Valentine's Day. And time these germinate, we're looking at the end of February into the March time frame. Now these are exactly what the name says. They are tall. They're going to be 2 or 3 feet tall in the garden border. And you're going to want to space them 36 to 48 inches apart. So these are going to be a beautiful plant that you can grow and divide and as well collect the seed for many years to come once you get them established in the garden. Now, hopefully we can get these to germinate the first year. If we start them now, we may get blooms in the August, September time frame. So we will treat them nice, we'll feed them well once they start growing and see if we can even increase the bloom time to maybe even near the end of July. So I really like these seeds from Johnny's. They have a very good germination rate. This package says you're guaranteed 23 seeds, so that's decent. And these aren't tiny seeds, so they're going to be really easy to plant. You can also direct sow these outside in the garden and lightly cover them over, and they will do very well for you. So you have a couple options of them. I consider these something that you would plant kind of like delphinium a bit. You could probably put them on the ground, cover them very, very lightly, and they will germinate within time. You could also probably start these and do your cold gardening where you start them in a container, put them outside, and then they sprout in the spring when the temperature warms up. Now these don't need a heating mat to germinate. So we're just gonna put them in a really nice seed starting mix. I have Jiffy's seed starting mix. I've added additional perlite to it, and then we're gonna top with some vermiculite on top of these and throw them under the grow lights in my grow station. And that's the plan. So let's get started. Also, heads up for anybody, if you're interested in how I'm doing after my total knee replacement surgery, I'll include some details at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. If you don't want to know anything about gardeners going through these kind of things, then of course it's optional to stay through it. So I hope you'll enjoy this video and watch it till at least the end of the planting. All right, so let's have a look at the seed here. I'm just going to open it up and we'll see what we got inside here. I like seed that's a little bit bigger. It's much easier to plant because you can just pick it up with your fingers so easily. So that's definitely a good 23 seeds there in the dish. So we're going to take our seed tray here and I'm going to just fill it full of the topsoil mix. I made my topsoil mix in advance. So like I said, it's a Jiffy seed starting mix combined with perlite. You can see here, and I've already treated it with boiling water a couple days ago, so it's moist but not sloppy wet, and that is to kill any gnats in the soil. So I'm just going to fill up this tray. So this 4 section here ought to do it. So we're just going to do these 4 for these echinacea, and then I can put the other ones I'm going to grow in here on another day. And I'm just getting into the seed starting season now. Here in Saskatchewan, our last frost is anywhere from May 11th to May 31st. Usually the June long weekend at the end of May there is when the greenhouses will get super duper busy because everybody's out getting their plants right around the Mother's Day time, and they're starting to put them out because all danger of frost has usually passed. So that's a really busy time here in Saskatchewan to buy your plants and get them. Most people are putting their plants are in the ground and they're starting their containers. So I tend to base it more on the weather. It really depends. I don't go by that set date. but it also depends what I'm growing. If I'm growing something that can take, like a perennial that can take more of a beating, then I can put it in earlier. If it's a sensitive plant, then I may climatize it a little bit longer and then put them out in June. It really, like I said, depends on what the weather's doing. We have had snow in June in the past, so you just never know with our weather here in Saskatchewan. We've also had rainy springs where you really couldn't put anything out because it gets too waterlogged. So anything's possible. So, but that's kind of a target for everybody here. They go by that timeline of the May long weekend. I'm just going to double check these, make sure there's not too many gaps in there. We don't want it packed, but we don't want a lot of gaps where the soil sinks down after you water it, and then you have to come back and top up your soil. So you might as well just do it right up front. I've been on a real coneflower kick for the past couple years now because they do so well in a prairie garden, in a cottage garden, and they just look beautiful. And collecting the seeds is a fun thing to do. And I just really, really enjoy them. They bring a lot of joy to me because they're very colorful. And when you have a long winter like we do, a long, cold, windy, blustery winter like we normally get, it is nice to have a lot of color in that garden. All right, here they are. So I'm just going to pick them up with my muddy fingers and put them in the tray. I'll just zoom in so you can see a little more of what I'm doing here. This is fairly quick to do, and we'll see how many we get here. With my fingers being all muddy, it's a little harder to see the seed, but there you go. You can see it right there. I'm doing one seed in each one of these to try to prevent having to thin out later. That's my goal. So far, so good. So we're expecting a snowstorm coming in on Tuesday, which is the day I go for one of my first physio treatments. So that should be exciting. So hopefully the weather holds and I can make my treatment without having to drive in torrential snow. And they're talking some freezing rain too. So that's what I mean about Saskatchewan winters. We're seeing a lot more freezing rain in our forecasts, which makes it really, really tough for us. All right, you know what? That's it right there. But we got them done and they're in. So now I'm going to cover with the vermiculite, and I'm just going to move this stuff out of the way and hobble around to get my vermiculite. And I'm going to press these into the soil a bit. And you can see how they're looking. Just zoom out a bit. There you go. You can see them. So we're just going to go through, and I'm just going to give them a little bit of a press there. Nothing too much. I don't want to bust the seed or anything. And this one's free to put whatever we want in there after. So I'm not going to cover that one with vermiculite so I know that there's nothing in it. That happens. There we go. All right, that is done. Now I've got my trusty sprayer here, and we're going to give it a spray. Haven't used this for a while. And we'll do our label. So all I use to label my plants, depending what I have on hand, in this case it's painter's tape. Sometimes I have the wooden tags to put in, sometimes even wooden popsicle sticks. It's whatever you have on hand to use to label your plants. I find the painter's tape, if it's a large tray, if you mark it off where you finished and put the tape there with the name of the plant on, that it works really good for identifying what it is. So I'm just gonna write that down now. So we're putting Paradise Tall. I'm just using a pen. You can use a marker. And I'm just gonna put Coneflower rather than write out Echinacea, just because it's easier. All right, so that is done. Pull the tray back here. And I'm just gonna put it right on the front down here. Oops, that was upside down. And that is ready to go. So I'll keep you in the loop how these do. We always do seed starting tours when they start coming up. And I am a bit behind, but hey, we can speed up pretty quick. Okay, so that's done. Our echinacea is planted, the Paradise Tall. I think it's gonna be beautiful. I'm very excited about it. I just love echinacea. And my imagination, or where I wanna be with this plant in the hydrangea room, which is right out in front of my back deck, is I want a combination of yellows, reds, pinks, oranges, corals in there. And then I want to add some purple verbenas or speedwell in there. And I want to add some nepta in there and have the purples draw out the colors in those flowers. There's going to be a lot of work going on in the hydrangea room this year. I need to get the ground where the trees were taken out leveled, finish filling in the beds with plants and probably adding some more soil and amending it. I want to add some decor in that area that draws the eye in so that when you come into my backyard or when you come off the deck or look out the kitchen window, you see something really beautiful and dramatic that draws your attention and you want to go out there and check it out. That is the whole goal. Now this area is also the start of one of the paths that's going to lead into the other areas of the garden. Now I can't go crazy on the paths, but I can get them started. And I've talked about the paths probably for 2 seasons now, but my one issue with doing a complete path, which is the plan, a large path with other paths branching off of it, is the fact that Rob has a car that he's going to need to get out of the tent on the side of the house, and it's going to have to drive through that area to get out to get to the front driveway. So I don't want to plant an area that's going to be driven over. So I have to be very strategic in how I plant my flowers in these areas. But my definite goal this year is lots and lots of perennials, using annuals as an accent in the garden for that punch of color. That is the key to having a beautiful cottage garden, which is my goal. And then expand on that with all different kinds of plants. You know, heucheras are another one that's beautiful in here. Lots and lots of ground covers, you know. Your ajugas are beautiful in these areas. Those kind of things that will reduce the maintenance. So that's kind of where I'm going this year with this, is developing new beds, expanding on what I have, and adding some creativity, some decor, some design, and lots of color to the garden. So I hope you'll join me in this journey this year as we go through this, and you can see what I'm up to and how I'm building this, and maybe it'll give you ideas for your own garden. Let's talk about my knee replacement, where I'm at now. I'll keep you guys in the loop as we move along so that if you ever have to go through this, you kind of know what to expect. I am in Saskatchewan, Canada, so the methods here for doing knee replacements might be different than they are in the US. I know they're using some robotics to do knee replacements there. I don't think we're doing that here. If we are, that's probably in the larger provinces like out in Ontario and BC where they're using some new technologies, but here they are not doing that. So I'll be finishing up week 3 post-op on Tuesday, heading into week 4. My sutures and my staples are out. I am weight bearing and walking on the leg very carefully. I am super duper swollen, so it is not bending much. So that is holding up my physio and my rehab because I'm so swollen. I can't bend that leg a lot, which makes it really difficult for me to attend doctor's appointments, physio sessions, etc. One thing people always ask about is the pain. I was on some heavy duty narcotic painkillers for the first 2 weeks. I am off of them now, and I am taking regular Tylenol for pain, and I do have some T3s if it gets really bad. I do experience some weird things with that leg, and I think they're called triggers. Like I'll be laying in bed at night and my leg will just all of a sudden go boom, 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 and it'll just start kicking and then it'll stop. That's had happened 2 or 3 times. It was kind of weird, I might add. And, doing some research and reading up on it, that happens with a lot of these kind of orthopedic surgeries. You have these things happen and they can happen later on as well. Nerves have been cut, muscles have been cut. My meniscus is gone. I don't have a meniscus anymore. So much for tearing that. Those things are all gone and taken care of. So there are a few weird things that happen through this, but I'm on the mend, which is good because I want to be out in the garden planting, maybe with some assistance. We'll see how I do. If that swelling goes down, that will be a game changer for me to be able to do more inside and out because things are getting ahead of me at home and I'm off work right now because of this being a major surgery. I will tell you that it's very hard for me to try sitting at a desk because I can't bend that leg to get up close. So doing the YouTube videos, because I do all my own, shoot my own videos and I do all my own editing, that is really hard for me. So you have to bear with me as I gain more mobility. It'll be easier to get videos out. But right now, that's the challenge, is sitting close to a desk or doing anything like that is extremely uncomfortable at this point. So it takes me a lot longer to do everything. But other than that, I'm feeling pretty good from a mental perspective, and I'm impatient with myself, but hey, good things take time, and that's how I'm looking at it. So anyhow, that's the scoop. That's where things are at. No feeling sorry for me or anything like that. I played a lot of sports, did a lot of skating and stuff, and that knee took a lot of hits in my youth and into my 20s. So I'm paying the price for it now because, as we age, shit happens. But I'm glad to be back on YouTube, and I'll continue to work through it, and I'll try to get more videos out as I see fit. If you don't see a video come out in a little bit of time, you'll know I'm struggling a little bit with my knee and things like that. But other than that, I don't see anything impeding my progress with the channel, and let's get at it and plan for a beautiful spring. So thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The views are down on the channel. It's a bad time of year. All YouTubers are complaining about the views being down on the channels right now, but spring is upon us. Spring fever is starting. I'm feeling it a bit. So leave me your comments. Tell me what you're growing this year for plants. Are you trying new things you've never tried before, which is what I plan on doing, bringing those videos to you and sharing my experiences with you? Let me know. I love to hear from you. And thanks for all the support, everyone. And I want to give a shout out to Rochelle. Rochelle, if you're out there, send me an email or let me know that you're there. Send me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. I know that you're no longer at Dutch Growers, but I would love to hear from you. You're one of my favorite people out there, and I miss talking to you. So anyhow, shout out to Rochelle. She's fabulous, and hopefully I hear from her. Bye, everybody.